Top 10 Best Movies on Netflix. The best movies on Netflix can be hard to find, but we're not likely to run out of great films anytime soon. There's plenty to choose from, whether you're looking for the best action movies, the best horror films, the best comedies, or the best classic movies on Netflix. Hey guys, welcome to your entertainment channel Netflix Tops, where we will watch the top 10s. So grab your popcorn and stay with us, as we have listed the top 10 best Netflix movies. Number 10. Released in 2019 and directed by Fernando Meirelles. The story of the two popes starts as Cardinal George Mario Borghillo, later Pope Francis, and Pope Benedict having an interesting relationship. There were disagreements in the way the church should be run, with Pope Benedict having more classical beliefs, and yet Benedict also became the first pope to renounce his position since 1415, with Pope Francis taking over. What happened? That's the question this wholesome movie about faith attempts to answer, painting a pleasant portrait of two men at odds coming to an understanding. Even if you're not religious, The Two Popes makes for a light watch that's enhanced drastically by two incredible central performances, Jonathan Pryce as Pope Francis and Anthony Hopkins as Pope Benedict. They were both rightly nominated for Oscars. Number 9. Released in 2017 and directed by Macon Blair, from the producer of Green Room, and starring the criminally underrated Melanie Lynskey and Elijah Wood, who has mastered the art of the offbeat outcast character in recent years. You might assume I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore will be a left-field movie, and you'd be correct. It follows the increasingly violent misadventures of Ruth and her martial arts-obsessed neighbor Tony as they track down a burglar who stole Ruth's grandmother's silver spoon. Equally humorous and cynical, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore is one of the best Netflix original movies because it echoes many people's disaffection with the world. It is an often hilarious take on someone who decides to stand up against an increasingly self-centered society, albeit with surprisingly bloody results. Number 8. Ava DuVernay turned heads with Selma, the director's brilliant look at Martin Luther King's March on Selma. 2 years later, DuVernay returned with the documentary 13th, named after the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution, banning slavery throughout the country. However, the filmmaker argues that slavery has taken on another form, the incarceration of freedom into prisons. What follows is one of Netflix's most powerful documentaries, with 13th showing just how people of color have continued to suffer under unfair and unjust laws and policing. DuVernay's unflinching look at the prison system, which highlights just how much some companies are making from keeping people locked up, was nominated for an Oscar, and rightly so. Number 7. It was released in 2018 and directed by Jean-Bernard Marlin. The story of Scheherazade starts as a 17-year-old offender, Zachary, gets out of jail in his home city of Marseilles and immediately gets back into cahoots with his old gang to continue his life of crime, which includes pimping out sex workers. One day, though, he meets Scheherazade, a young sex worker. He falls for her and gradually becomes increasingly involved with her, which causes all sorts of conflicts as his life escalates out of control. Yes, this movie navigates a well-trodden narrative path, but Scheherazade more than earns your 2 free evening hours. There's French grit, simmering tension, and echoes of other French dramas involving outcast youths involved in crime. Plus, a gorgeous neon-tinged visual palette mixes with the squalor the characters find themselves desperately trying to escape, with a strong soundtrack and confident performance from the young cast. Number 6. Not every comedy appeals to every palate. Some people like broader physical humor, others might prefer satire. When it comes to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it's tough to imagine who wouldn't enjoy it. King Arthur, Graham Chapman, and his Knights of the Round Table ride off in search of the titular goblet. Well, it'd be more accurate to say that they pretend to ride on horses while their servants provide the coconut-based sound effect. The medieval setup makes way for some of Monty Python's most memorable jokes. The knights who say "neat," the French soldier who slings insults at Arthur and his knights, the entire "'tis but a scratch" sequence. There are loads. It's got everything. Slapstick shenanigans, fourth wall breaking, innuendo, deadpan delivery, and surrealism all play a part. Watching it today, you can spot styles and ideas pitched by later comedians, but no one does this mishmash of absurdity better than this bunch. After all, a great joke is only told the first time once. Number 5. In a lockout in a pro basketball league, a young and ambitious sports agent named Ray finds himself at the center of a pitched battle for power between the players and the owners. Representing a supremely skilled young player in the film, High Flying Bird, he decides to fight what he sees as a system of suppressing the voice of predominantly black players by the team's owners, who are mostly white in an escalating high-stakes game of ratings, money, and power. If you're a sucker for sports drama, you'll love High-Flying Birds. Like the movie correctly states, basketball is the sexiest sport on earth, and there is some great action here, peppered in among strong conversation scenes. It's all directed by Steven Soderbergh, who has retired more times than Michael Jordan, but just can't stay away. Plus, it's all shot on an iPhone. Number 4. Directed by Mike Flanagan, The Haunting of Hill House and Dr. Sleep, Gerald's Game is a thriller with a twist. The protagonist is handcuffed to a bed for almost the entire movie. Carla Gugino and Bruce Greenwood play a couple who rent a secluded cabin to spice up their marriage. Shortly after handcuffing Gugino's Jesse to the bed as part of a sex game, Gerald suddenly dies. Tied to the very sturdy bed, and with no one else close enough to hear her cries for help, Jesse faces a fight to survive. Claustrophobic thrillers like this can often be hit and miss, but this one's in the former category. It's led almost entirely by Gugino's intense performance. The quality of acting elevates a well-executed genre movie. Number 3. Netflix doesn't only focus on mature-themed movies, even though the freedom from R ratings gives it plenty of scope for swearing, violence, and sex. Here is this film, The Little Prince. You'll find a precious little animated film based on a French novella from 1943 about a young lonely girl whose imagination is transported to another world through magical stories told by her eccentric neighbor. As she embarks on this journey, she discovers a world of wonder, invisible to the naked eye, changing both her, him, and the girl's mother in the process. The Little Prince is refreshingly heartfelt. It's not a perfect movie in terms of pacing, but golly, it is pretty. It's clean, wholesome fun for the family, and we can never have too much of that. Number 2. A previously lost Orson Welles film, The Other Side of Wind, features Jake Hannaford, an elderly Hollywood director, hosting a screening for his new movie, also titled The Other Side of the Wind. The movie within a movie spoofs both the golden age of Hollywood and the experimental cinema that punctured much of the late 1960s. The kicker, too, is that the audience is told straight away that this is Hanford's final day on Earth. Not a bad way to start a movie, that's for sure. Not only is this a piece of movie history, having previously remained incomplete after Welles' death, The Other Side of the Wind is unmissable for several reasons besides that. It's a fantastic pastiche of modern and classic cinema, and is Orson Welles' giving something new to the medium he dedicated his life toward. It also comes coupled with a documentary, They'll Love Me When I'm Dead, which is just as endlessly fascinating and rewatchable as the source material. Number 1. Set in the post-World War II southern U.S., it is a dramatic thriller about the racial tensions and cultural segregation that still thrived at the time, almost a century after the abolition of slavery. Mudbound follows a cast of characters both white and black as they navigate the often violent society of the South, while at the same time dealing with the traumatic aftermath of World War II. Mudbound is a war drama akin to a progressive rock song, adding layers and elements throughout, culminating in a true epic as all its strands converge dramatically. Aside from its cultural relevance today, with increased racial tensions in recent years, it's a damn good movie in its own right, and makes both Jason Mitchell and Garrett Hedlund's finest performances to date. This one's a mammoth. And this brings us to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for amazing movie reviews coming your way. And thank you for watching.